All right. We are live. Okay, so let me just get the Mishnah Berurah here. You can't unmute, Tommy. Okay, interesting. Let me see. There we go. Here, just give me 1 second. I'm going to do the following. Allow participants to unmute themselves. Okay, so you should be able to unmute yourself now. Sorry about that. Not sure why it wasn't working.
Good morning.
Okay. Good morning. Here we go. Last week we read the Shulchan Aruch and the Ramah at the beginning of Reish Mem Hey, which deals with the question of a jointly owned business, a jointly owned jointly owned venture, jointly owned business between the Jew and a non-Jew, and how do we deal with that business being utilized and open and operational on Shabbos? How can that be done in a way that is permissible, and when is it not permissible? So let's go phrase by phrase here, looking at the Mishnah Berurah's explanation and his deeper understanding of what's going on here. Remember, the opening phrase of the Shulchan Aruch had said a Jew and a non-Jew who own a field or an oven, a communal oven, which obviously you sell for its, you allow people to use it and get money from every usage, or a bathhouse or a water mill it's jointly owned. So bottom line here is, if you have some arrangement ahead of time, you stipulate before you come into the business, you stipulate that this is a permissible, that I take Sunday, you take Saturday, and that's how you arrange the business. So that's going to be permissible. Anyway, so here comes the Mishnah Berurah, and he writes, Sada otanur tam hadavarim elu deba'inan hisnu. The explanation of these things is, and the reason that they are permitted is because we are dealing with a case of where they stipulated. Then such an arrangement can be much more easily permissible. The ilav hachi, because if this were not so, kevan dimitchila b'shas asiyas hashutofus hayamutal hamalacha al shnehem yachta. Now he explains why is it so important to stipulate. He says, you don't make that stipulation from the beginning that you own the business on Shabbos and I own it on Sunday, as a way to make it fair. Because if not, then at the beginning of this partnership, the malacha falls on both parties together. Al shnehem yachtav. Ulahachi, imachar kach yomar la'eno Yehudi. If then later on you say to the non-Jew, Aseh ata levadcha b'Shabbos, v'tol lecha kol harevach shel oso shel Shabbos, v'ani esed levadi yom echad b'chol kenegdo, v'tol oso la'atzmi harevach shel oso hayom. If in the middle of this agreement, then we've come together, we own the business now, and now I say to you, right, the Jew says to the non-Jew, you do alone the work on Shabbos, and you take all the profits of Shabbos, and I will work another day during the weekdays in correspondence to your working the full day of Shabbos, and I will take for myself the profits of that day. It is like I have set the non-Jew to be a worker. I told him to be a worker for me on Shabbos. Kilu omerlo aseh ata avuri b'Shabbos. You'll do my portion of the business on Shabbos. You'll work for it. Ve'ani ye'esek neged ze avurech keneged, sorry, bechol, bechol, and I will do in correspondence the work on that one weekday. I will do it all on your behalf as well, because remember, we jointly own every single moment of the business. Behave shlucho mamish. And that is like, in Tosfos' words, that is like I have you are like my agent on Shabbos. The non-Jew is like my agent on Shabbos, who I have told to do work. Because I am in the business. If we set it up from beforehand that I don't own the business on Shabbos, then I don't own the business on Shabbos. But if I own the business and now we make an arrangement that on Shabbos you will do the full day's work and I will do the full day's work on Wednesday, Keneged the Shabbos, and we'll split the profits. But my access to the full profits on Wednesday are because you're doing work on my behalf on Shabbos. Right? I had you do that work so that now I get something also in return. So I am telling you to do work on Shabbos, and I'm a relevant owner of that business on Shabbos.
Rabbi, it works very well for the examples he's give. But what about like the dry cleaner, which you reference a lot? I may drop my clothes off. Somebody may drop their clothes off on Shabbos. The work may be done that day. It may be done Sunday or Monday. The payment isn't made until the person picks it up on Tuesday. Mm-hmm. So it's impossible really to know who's working on Shabbos, if he is or isn't, when that payment is made. So what do you do in something like that?
So, I think that if you have a jointly owned business like that, we'll see in a moment, it's more like a field, because the profits don't come to you right away. When you have a delayed profit, it's like a field. Like let's say we're harvesting the field. I own a business with somebody else, and they always work the business. They're always working the field on Shabbos. But can you tell me how many carrots, how many oranges, how many apples, were produced because of the work that happened on Shabbos? That's impossible to know, right? When the harvesting season comes along, there will be fruit, there'll be vegetables, but you can't tell me which one was because of Shabbos and which one was because of what I worked on Wednesday. So you can't really know how to split the profits based on that. So I think engaging with, let's say, a business that were like a dry cleaners that were you drop it off and you don't know if the work is going to be done on Saturday or not. I don't think you need to, so long as the, I guess so long as the Jew is not working on Shabbos, we will see as we go along in the Mishnah Berurah that such an arrangement will probably be more easily permissible, because you could say that the Jew said, I don't want to work on Shabbos. You want to work the business on Shabbos? Work the business on Shabbos. Don't get me involved. And then the profits, but as long as the profits are not, as long as the Jew doesn't have access to the profits only of Shabbos, but rather they sort of split things up month by month. They look at the bank account and they split it up, or however they decide to do it. Then it's going to be okay, because the Jew is very much distanced from the situation. He's not telling the non-Jew to do the work on Shabbos. Here, because I'm telling you to do Saturday, right? You work the full Saturday and get all the profits, and I'll take Wednesday. I'm telling you do Saturday. If I'm not telling the non-Jew, the partner, to do the work on Saturday, you want to leave it closed? That's okay with me. You want to leave it? You want to go into work and have it open? Okay, that's your prerogative. I don't care. Then that's going to be a much more easy situation to permit. Okay, and we'll see that as we go along here. So the Mishnah Berurah continues here and says, "Ulefizeh im shutofo ha'eno Yehudi be'atzmo eino ose klum. Rak she'enam Yehudim acher ha'mabayin le'efos masikim bo batanur shal shutofus v'nosin sach ma b'scharam." So Yochel HaYisrael lekala mishutafo scharo hamagia lo lefi chelko afilu im lo histim. It's a little bit what we were just talking about. which is that if the non-Jewish partner on his own or her own doesn't do anything, but let's say other non-Jews on Shabbos, and let's say it's a tanur, we're talking about an oven, people need to use some sort of oven, communal oven to bake things, and other non-Jews come to bake on Shabbos, and they masikin bo batanur, and they light up the fire. But we own the oven; people pay us to use the oven, and the non-Jewish customers are coming on Saturday to use the oven, and they light it up. Right, masikim bo betanur shel hashutofos v'nosnin sach ma b'scharam, and they pay whatever the rate is for using the oven. So the Jew can receive the profits from this partnership, from his partner. Lekabel mishutafos scharo hamagia lo lefi chelko, can receive the piece of his profits. Afilu im lo hisnu, even if there's no stipulation, as long as he's not breaking it up just on the Shabbos day. At the end of Saturday, they take the Saturday business profits, and he knocks on the door of the Jewish partner, and says, "Here's your half from today." That's not okay, because then you have a direct payment of profits on Shabbos. You have to do it, as we've talked about many times. You break it up by a week, so you have other days built in. So you're not, here's the Shabbos profits. That the Chazal didn't like. And we're not here concerned about Maris Ayin in this case. You see the partner left it open, and he was, he wanted to make extra money, and the Jew was in on it. No. First of all, if the non-Jew did it for his own benefit, gets part of the profits. This is what we talked about before. And the Yisrael who benefits from this, we don't have a fear here of Maris Ayin where we will get in the way of prohibiting this, because people understand that, unlike in the other cases we've talked about, here the business is jointly owned. And people know that. People know it's, Cohen and, Cohen and his non-Jewish friend, they both have the name on the store. People understand it's also owned by a non-Jew, and that they'll assume, of course, if it's open on Shabbos, they will say that this is the non-Jew who is doing things. When it's a worker of the Jew, so then it's a little harder. Chazal didn't necessarily say we assume that the non-Jew did it, adaite the nafshei, on their own accord. Okay, that is. Simeon, go ahead. You gotta unmute yourself though. I think you're muted. I just clicked on the button there on the screen. You should see on your screen it says to unmute yourself. I definitely saw his hand go up. There you go.
Rav, I absolutely do not understand the last piece of limud that we have here on a variety of levels. It seems to me, a priori, the concept of making the partnership agreement before the business goes hot makes eminent sense.
Okay.
So I can see that, but he seems to ultimately conclude that it is permissible for the Jew to receive some of the proceeds of the business that took place on Shabbos. True?
That is a correct statement. Yeah.
Well, then I'm not interested in the Maris Ayin. You could sell that to the Indians. I'm interested, what are you doing with Mekach Memkar on Shabbos?
So, it's an excellent point. Let's clarify this. So in this arrangement, I never say to the non-Jew,
thank you, Doug,
do the business actively. I never say, you run the business on Shabbos. I take a laissez-faire attitude, I actually don't care if the non-Jew wants to keep it. I don't want. I tell my partner, I don't work Shabbos. I don't own the bit. I don't work the business on Shabbos. I have no interest in that on Shabbos. I like eating I like going to shul and eating cholent, and that's how I spend my Shabbos. And I go to Steve's Mishnah Berurah class. B'meir b'yameinu. We'll get back to that on Shabbos. That is what I tell him. If the non-Jewish co-owner decides, yes, but I want to open the business on Shabbos because I can make more money as the as the co-owner. Let's say let's make it easy. It's a 50-50 ownership, right? Then I don't, as the Jew, I don't care. You do what you do. You do you. You want to open the business on Shabbos, open the business. I have nothing to do with it. And then at the end of the month, right, when we look at the bank account of the store, of the business, and now we're going to each move them, our respective profits to our individual bank accounts. So we look at the profits from the last month, and a few of those days are Shabbos. But nobody's breaking down, well, here was, let's say today was the 1st of May and 50-50. And now profits on the second day, I'm holding them in my hand, 50-50. Right? Nobody's doing that. You're just taking the big number, let's say it's $20,000 there, and you split it 10 each, 10,000 each. I am not, the work that was done on, that's permissible, because the work that was done on Shabbos was a daite de nofshe ka'avi. The non-Jew did it for his own good. I couldn't have cared less. I couldn't care less. And as Chazal has said, as long as the non-Jew is incentivized on their own to do the work, and I benefit, like a tertiary benefit, there's a side benefit. Okay, as long as it's not only a Shabbos in the B'shas Chalukah, the time when they take the money and they divvy it up. Okay.
Well, I hear the explanation. The bottom line is that in the beginning, when the Chafetz Chaim talks, it makes sense to me. But I don't know who's talking now. Is that the Tosfos, or is that the author of the Mishnah Berurah?
I think it's the Chafetz Chaim. He was saying Ulefizeh is, his he's saying in the case that we just outlined, that's not, you're not making the non-Jewish shliach. The big problem with a jointly owned business is when I make my partner into a shaliach. So let's say we don't stipulate from the beginning of the business the breakdown of you do Shabbos, I do Wednesdays. But let's say at some point I say to him, you do Shabbos, I do Wednesdays. I am now being mimane, the non-Jew. I'm appointing the non-Jew as my shaliach to my half of the business on Shabbos. But if I don't care, I don't say to him, do the business on Shabbos. I say, I don't care what you do on Shabbos. You want to keep it open. I don't care. You do whatever you want. I remove myself, completely from the situation, but not saying but I'm not saying I take Wednesdays. I just do nothing. And if you want to you want to put the key in the door on Saturday and open the business, that's completely, the choice of the non-Jew.
All right, listen, he runs around the Marasayan issue, but at the end of the day, the raison d'etre for going into business, to earning money, he gets half the proceeds that came as a result of, whether or not they're commingled or not commingled, as a result of the business being opened and run by the goy on Shabbos.
Correct, because adaited enough sheikah, because the non-Jew was doing it for his own good. Okay. I didn't tell him to do it.
Okay.
Now afterwards, I do benefit. You're right. You're 100% right, Simeon.
Okay.
In halacha, you can have such an arrangement, permissible, and benefit from something that happened on Shabbos. Yes.
Okay.
This is correct. Now, beis im hisnu mitchila. So if you stipulate from the beginning, at the time when you come into this partnership, into this arrangement, hatam keven de shehusnu betchila lo hutal al hayisrael klal meikara lasos b'Shabbos ve'ein ha'eno Yehudi shlucho. This is the key issue here. The reason that stipulation at the beginning of what's going to happen is important, is because then the business on Saturday does not in one iota belong to the Jew. You can't even trace it back to the Jew, because in the original deal from the get-go, he said the business ain't mine on Shabbos. It's not mine at all. I have no shaychus to Shabbos with regards to this business. And that allows me to open the door to say, basically saying, you do Shabbos and I get all of Wednesday, though. I get now a whole day of profit. So I'm technically not, assuming the business is approximately equal on every day. It's probably not exactly true, but I get a whole day just to myself. And the non-Jew is not my shaliach. I did not tell him to work the business on Shabbos because it's not my business to work on Shabbos. That was the arrangement. I never owned the business on Shabbos from the get-go. Gimel. Shiyeh schar be schar HaShabbos la'enu Yehudi levado, right? So then if we arrange this arrangement, I say, you're going to take it's your business to own on Shabbos all the time. I always own the businesses on Wednesdays. V'gabe sodeh, with regards to a field, which I alluded to before, tzarich sheyomar lo ta'amol lizroa v'lachrosh b'Shabbos. My friend, I have nothing to do in this. We're opening this arrangement together. You own the business on Shabbos. I want when we sign the paperwork, I want nothing to do with Shabbos. It's in the contract. And you will plant and you will plow the field on Shabbos. V'titol b'shas katsira, and then when it comes harvest season, you will take keneged amalcha b'Shabbos. You will take corresponding to your hard work on Shabbos. Va'ani o shluchi amol bechol, and or me or my, let's say my workers, my messengers who do my work, they will toil on one of the days during the week. And I will take at the time of the harvest in correspondence to my work that was done on my day. Now, of course, as I said earlier, how in the world do you know how much to take? The answer is probably you would split it evenly, right? One whole day for Shabbos, one whole day for Wednesday. You would just, you produced 100 potatoes. So if it was just you working 2 days of the week, obviously it's not reality. Probably the farm has worked 7 days a week, but let's simplify here. Then each of us would take half of the potatoes that were produced. So, but if it's 7 days, let's say, so you take the profits of the harvest. You take the output of the harvest. You start off and probably need to split it into sevenths, and I take a seventh, and he takes a seventh, and then the rest we could deal with, I guess, equally. Now, that all counts out to be equal anyway. So, but the point here is that I am absolving myself of the business on Shabbos right off the bat. Daled im ma'at v'im harbet, whether the Shabbos profits are small or they are large. It's all belongs to the non-Jew. I'm not measuring one against the other. I'm not. By the way, I guess by the way, in the field example, let's say on the field example, I only work the field, on Wednesdays. I do 1 hour of work. On Shabbos, the other guy is doing, from sunrise to sunset every week. It's, sunrise to sunset. I'm barely putting any effort in on my day. So then you need to adjust the profits. If being honest, you have to adjust the profits accordingly, based on probably the amount of effort that went in and the amount of work that went in. Now, but here he says that when you split the profits and, he's taking the Shabbos and I'm taking Wednesday because those were our days, we don't calculate them zeh keneged zeh. So, we split it 50-50. No. That's not okay. In Cain, Einam Shutafin Club, Biyom HaShabbos, Uviyom Echad, let's say Yom Rishon, he's using Sunday as an example. Rak Bishar Hayamim, the only other day, so Saturday and Sunday, there's no breaking it up 50-50. Non-Jew takes Shabbos, clear out the cash register, it's all yours. Sunday, I clear out the cash register, it's all mine. On the other days, okay, so we split it 50-50 or whatever the arrangement is, 70-30, however their business is split. Uliafuke, and this comes to exclude imasne imo b'shas hatnai shilavasof yavou lecheshbon. And this excludes the situation where, let's say, if you stipulate with the partner at the time of the tanai, at the time of the condition, that at the end, shilavasof yavou lecheshbon sheyeh haschar l'shneihem. If we made a stipulation, well, you own the business on Shabbos, I have nothing to do with it, and I own the business on Wednesdays, and you have nothing to do with it. Oh, and by the way, when it comes time to split the profits, we're going to split it 50-50. That's a wink, wink, nod, nod. That's not okay, because then you are really then it's clear that he is doing work for you on Shabbos, because I'm taking some of the profits on Shabbos. We're splitting it 50-50. We're not doing it. You get all of Saturday, I get all of Sunday or Wednesday, whatever the day is. That's awesome. The al korcha hu imo keshutav gabi yom Shabbos, because then you are a partner with him on Shabbos, even if it's just pretend. Then it's just completely pretend at that point. If he takes all of Shabbos, I take all of Wednesday. That's me having nothing to do with the business on Saturday at all. I own the business 0% on Saturday. But in such an arrangement where we make a stipulation that at the end, don't worry, wink, wink, nod, nod, 50-50, then I own the business on Shabbos too. It's just a wink, wink, nod, nod type of arrangement, which is really, you cannot circumvent halacha with trickery.
Well,
at least in this situation.
Certainly, these days, it wouldn't work, and maybe even then. And I'm surprised Simeon didn't mention it. But I mean, what happens if the place burns down on Shabbos? You've made the agreement that it's on Shabbos it's yours, and Sunday it's mine, and
right. So let me be very careful. Thank you, Steve. The key here, you might jointly own the building. Let's say you own the store, the actual business, the physical structure, and let's say you have a communal oven. You own the oven jointly. What you are saying is that I have no shaykhus to the business on Shabbos vis-a-vis the profits. Yeah, it's my oven, jointly owned with the non-Jew, so he can use it on Saturday. By the way, let's say the business was closed and he wanted to use our jointly owned oven on Shabbos because he wants to bake a cake. It's totally fine for him to bake his own cake. Same thing, he can use the bit to do his own business on Shabbos. I have nothing to do with the profits, though. So if the business were to burn down on Shabbos, and you're worried now, he's going to take all the insurance money because it happened on Shabbos. The answer is, whatever the calculation, whatever we're trying to figure out. The answer is that we both suffer and we both get the insurance money. But with regards to the schar, that's what the Shulchan Aruch says. In Hisnu mitchila b'shashu bo lishtatef sheyeschar hashabbos le'eno Yehudi levado. The profits, the money that comes in on Shabbos, I say to him, I have nothing to do with it. You want to, run the business. You want to do it. I don't care. I have nothing to do with it. Obviously, I own the physical structure though jointly. That's a different situation. But the LLC, the actual business, not the physical, not the physical structure. Okay, good. Hey, v'im harbe, whether it's a lot or it's a little or it's a lot. Let's say I make the stipulation properly, and then at the time of divvying up the money, and we say to each other as partners, Kama natalta ata meruba va'ani muat. How much are you going to take that's more, and I'm going to get a little. Meaning, nachlo motar. You're gonna end up getting more maybe, or I'm gonna get less, or whatever, and we're gonna split. What's left over, etc. Let's just do the following. We made the stipulation. So when the work was done on Shabbos, I really had nothing to do with it. And now, at the end of the month, we come to split everything, and we're like, what? Let's just do this Shavah b'Shavah. Let's just do it even, equal. So Das Hamagen Avraham. Turn the page. Okay, come on, there we go. Das Hamagen Avraham lifsok kedas harayvit So the Magen Avram says, he's inclined to paskin like the Ravid, Shemachmir Bazeh, who was stringent in this situation, Mishum de Igloi Milsalem Afreya, because it's clear now retroactively, looking back, the Hatnai de Meikara, the stipulation that happened at the beginning, the Tanai that happened at the beginning, Ha'arama Ba'almahave. It was just a trick. It was a joke from the beginning. It makes it clear to us now that it was a harama. It was just a trick. And this was never really a true arrangement. That's how the Magen Avraham wants to paskin, like the Ravid. The Yesh Mekilim Bezeh. Some are lenient, though, on this matter. Kaven de Hisnu Meikara, since indeed there was a stipulation from the beginning, and then at the end you want to make some different arrangement now with the money. So some will be lenient on this particular issue, namely Rashi and Tosfos are okay being lenient with this situation. The Elia Rabba discusses this issue as well. Be machmer, be mekil on this question. And at the end of the day, he says, you need to look into this more. It's a harder question to deal with. I have a soft spot for the Magen Avraham opinion that this is a harama. Because it is a harama at the end of the day.
Of course.
You could easily make such an arrangement and just at the end, now let's split it 50-50. Be very careful, because once a harama is built into the halachic system, you have to be very careful how to use it. I know we do it every year when it comes to mechiras chametz. I know everybody says, it's a joke. The answer is it's not a joke, because there, if you take it seriously, the sale is a binding sale, and God forbid, let's say there were a fire on we stipulate every year when we make these sales. Let's say there's a fire in the middle of Pesach, and something, the chametz gets burned down. Not in my house, how much chametz do you have? $100, $200, it's small peanuts, But let's say you have a big sale of a big, business, food business. And then there's a fire. So there are some stipulations. What happens? Meaning the Jew doesn't own the business. How do you deal with insurance in that situation? We try as much to take it seriously. Yes, it is in some ways. It's a harama. It's a get around. It's a go around. In order that I don't lose tons of money. But here, this is an ongoing week to week arrangement, and you're really working your way around it. So I don't know. I don't know how we paskin practically speaking. You see, there are two opinions here. I don't know of any case where this has practically come up. I'm sure in history of the Jewish people it has come up. I don't know that there's a clear minhag this way or that way.
Would it make a difference whose idea it was to split it 50-50? In other words, if it's not the Jew's idea, but if it's his partner, he says, look, I feel funny about this. It's really fair if we just split everything. Then you're not making a workaround.
Yeah, so I hear you. I'm not, maybe that's where some of the Mekilim come in, those who are lenient. But all he describes here is that Bishas Chaluka Ba'u L'Cheshbon Lomar Kama Natalta Ata Meruba. I'm not sure who's the one who's saying you're getting more and I'm getting less. So, let's just, and then we're splitting the rest. You know what? Let's just make this easier. Sheyish Lishneim Bishove. I'm not sure who's saying it. I'm not so sure it would matter, because at the end of the day, it means that the arrangement was, it could mean, according to some, like the Ravid, that the arrangement was never a true arrangement. This maybe.
Well, in the Jew's mind, it is, but it's the non-Jew who says,
right.
I don't feel it's fair, and he's not looking at it as deception. He just thinks it's fairer this way.
Right. So it could be that is certainly the reason you'll be lenient if you're lenient here. The reason is because be'emes, I really made the trip tonight at the beginning truthfully. And now we are coming to some other business arrangement where we decide, let's take what's in the, in the cash register and split it 50-50. And so this is, it relies on the honor system that everyone, is doing this, truthfully. And there was no shtick. The Ravid was worried about shtick. The Magen Avraham was worried about shtick, that this is a prearranged situation. So, Sarachiyun. Have a good day, everybody.
Thank you.
Great learning with everybody, and we'll do this again next week. Take care.
Thank you, Rav.